Why do we gamble when the house always wins? Risk, so that you want a sensation-seeking risk? See if you can beat the house because you want to win. Yeah, your bragging rights, I love that. To de-stress, yep, so definitely. So sometimes it's like individual motivational reasons, one being either to escape and to de-stress, or to win and to have the bragging rights. Why else? Because we think that we are the exception, but not the rule. Yeah, fantastic. So something about our decision making again. Yes. It's the premise of life-altering change. Yeah, I think about, like if you could wear that cash suit or those videos of people jumping into their cash bed, like you feel like you can supplement your income. Yes? Do we have a hand up over here? Yes? It's the light and the music, the sounds and the symbols that draw you in. It makes you feel like, yeah, you've already won. Yes? The chemicals released in your brain, so whether or not that is, we still don't really know, upregulation of dopamine, the reward-seeking chemical, or downregulation in some ways, yes? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a sense of escape, sense of hope, and a level of, again, coming back to that, better outcomes potentially, but sometimes it's not even that. As you said, sometimes it's just people actually know that they're not likely to win, but they want to just kind of escape the reality or have a bit of a break. I actually was able to study my PhD on this at Cambridge, and I thought this was super interesting because it's this irrational kind of behaviour that we, or many people do. And if you don't gamble, then actually most of the decisions we make are inherently like a gamble. There's some level of uncertainty and risk. So whether or not it's investing in a college degree, you're not really sure what the outcomes will be. Buying a house, you don't really know who your neighbours are, right, in some ways. And maybe you've got some good ones, but maybe in the future you've got some bad ones. So and then of course in the boardroom or the battlefield, you'll have different decisions where you have to take a gamble. Now, really interestingly, when you look at why people gamble, most of the time we think it's an individual's choice. We think that there is something about the motivation, so whether or not they want to win or escape. We think about something like their brain chemistry, right? So whether or not it's an upregulation or downregulation of chemicals within your brain. There's things around your personality. So generally, if you are more sensation-seeking or impulsive or risk-seeking in some ways, you're more likely to gamble. Then there are parts of the environment that cause you to gamble. So as we sort of said over this table, so if you think about it, there's the red carpet before you enter a casino, the flashy signs and symbols. It is actually designed to put you into a hot state, even when you're online, so much so that you feel like you've already won before you've sat down at a table. So they've cleverly designed this. There's no clocks, right? They're literally, if you look at the patents that people put in, gambling companies put in, they actually will put patents in about how they just change a slight thing in the chair to make it much more comfortable, which I think is really hilarious because I'd like to have that chair at home, not necessarily just in the casino. But it's not hilarious in terms of the outcome of keeping people there. The thing that blew my mind through my PhD was that there are also structural characteristics of the game that shift people's thinking and behaviour. That it was outside necessarily an individual's choice to gamble. So these are things like, often the game will have some level of giving you an illusion of control. So it might have a stopper button, you might be able to roll the die, maybe if I came around and let you choose a card, you would feel like you would feel more invested in that decision. So you'd feel more likely to win and you would change your thinking and behaviour accordingly. It gives you a faulty sense of feeling like your likelihood of winning. Then you have things like gambler's fallacy. So after 3 reds, in the case of maybe cards, you might have felt this, sometimes when there's a streak of outcomes, we feel like if there's 3 reds, the next outcome is likely to be a black, and we'll change our behaviour accordingly. And we change our beliefs accordingly. things also like near misses. So in the gambling games, you'll have things like when there's 2 winning symbols along a pay line and 1 just below. You feel like you nearly won, even though it is objectively a loss. And what you do is you continue to take that feeling of hope into the next game, even though that is completely independent from the rest. And maybe it's not a pokies game, maybe it's a horse losing by the nose of by a nose, in some ways. All of these structural characteristics of games, it doesn't matter who you are as an individual. Even myself, after studying gambling for 15 years, I will still walk into a gambling environment and feel the changes in my thinking and my behaviour. It's called double switching, where people will be really rational about their behaviour in the external environment, and as soon as they walk in to the gambling environment or start playing a game, they switch. And you've probably all felt this. And now, so what does this have to do with defence and culture change? Well, it gives us another lever to play. We can start to think about how do we leverage the environment to catalyse change, because the gambling companies, they haven't changed your thinking, they haven't changed people's personalities in some ways, but what they have done is created small environmental shifts that change our thinking and behaviour.